Mr. Speaker, thank you for granting me the leave. Mr. Speaker, I rise to express my profound concern to formally condemn the recent action taken by the Office of the Special Prosecutor in declaring Mr. Ken Ofori Atta a wanted fugitive. The basis for this declaration rests solely on the assertion that Mr. Ken Ofori Atta has not responded to requests to appear before the OSP in person. However, evidence provided by his legal team representative equivocally demonstrate that Mr. Ken Ofori Atta is currently outside the country on a schedule and medical grounds. Mr. Speaker, the principle of natural justice and due process demand that Mr. Speaker, the principle of natural justice and due process demand that before any declaration of a fugitive status is made, a full and thorough verification of the circumstances must be conducted. In this instance, the OSP failure to acknowledge the valid and documented explanation provided by Mr. Ofori Atta's legal team is alarming. Mr. Speaker, the omission not only undermines the right of an individual who has rendered distinguished service to our nation, but also calls into question the procedure with which our justice system is being administered. When the machinery of justice is allowed to operate without strict adherence to the established protocol, the risk of arbitrary and politically motivated occasion become all too real. Mr. Speaker, in both the adherence and the unjust, that such well-documented evidence has been disregarded. Mr. Speaker, the situation emphasized the importance of clear communication and coordination among the state institutions. Prior notification of his medical departure was not only a legal requirement, but also an act of transparency expected from the public figure. His adherence to the protocol should have been acknowledged and factored into any subsequent decision regarding his status. Instead, the OSP declared his generated unnecessary controversy and distraction at a time when the nation cannot afford such division. The misapplication of power in this instance serves a stark reminder of the danger adherence with exclusive agencies acts without sufficient oversight and accountability. Mr. Speaker, the implication of this incident extend beyond the individual involved. They strike at the very heart of our nation's commitment to justice, accountability, and the rule of law. When institutions like the OSP deviate from their mandate and operate in a matter that appears arbitrarily, they jeopardize our collective effort to build a society based on fairness and respect for the rights of all citizens. It is imperative that we, as members of our parliament, hold these agencies to the highest standard and ensure that every action taken in the name of justice is both transparent and justified. Mr. Speaker, in the case of the Republic versus Director of Prisons, the Court of Appeal of Ghana reaffirmed that the principle had no person should be subjected to unlawful detention or unjust treatment at the hands of the state. The court held that the exercise of the state authority must be guided by fairness, legally and due process. Any deviation from the principle amounts to an abuse of power and violation of the rights of the individual. Mr. Speaker, the House must use this opportunity to reinstate our collective responsibility to ensure no public official, whether current or former, is unfairly targeted or subjected to actions that undermine the legal right. Let us be clear, the pursuit of justice must always be balanced with respect for the process, and any deviation from the principle can have far-fetching consequences on our democracy. Mr. Speaker, we must stand united in our resolve to protect the integrity of our legal institution, and to ensure that every individual is treated fairly under the law. In conclusion, Mr. Speaker, I reinstate my call for accountability and transparency. The actions taken by the OSP in this matter are deeply troubling. And the actions also taken by governments are deeply troubling. They must be addressed with the utmost... Mr. Speaker, in conclusion, I reinstate my call for accountability and transparency. The action taken by government are deeply troubling, and they must be addressed with utmost agency. We owe it to our citizens and to the legacy of our nation's commitment to justice to ensure that such abuses of power are not repeated. Mr. Speaker, I urge my fellow members of Parliament to join me in condemning the actions of government and the state authorities, and no current or formal appointee of any government should go through such an ordeal.